to Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and boy, do we have some football to talk about today. It's Monday. It's the Monday after week 1 Sunday. It's a beautiful day. It's basically Christmas. We've got some awesome takeaways. We're going to talk about one takeaway, one reaction per NFL team today. So yes, there's lots of takeaways, but we're limiting it to 1 per team, 2 per game. And yeah, it's going to be a good one. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I gotta say, week 1 has been very successful for your guy. Lots of victory laps coming up on this show, but also lots of L laps as well as, pumping the brakes too. We've got a good one. We've got a really good one. Hopefully all of you are doing well in your matchups. No Monday Night Miracles needed, but hey, I'll go ahead and say it. If you have a Monday Night Miracle on the slate tonight, I hope you reach it. I hope all your dreams come true. I'll do a little bit of a little circle here. I'm just going to go ahead and say my Scott Fishbowl team is fucking dangerous. I can't believe I have a team with Cooper Kupp, Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Jameson Williams, Kenneth Walker, Kyle Pitts, Jaden Daniels, Taysom Hill, Devontae Adams. Jameson Williams was on my Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's on that team. Jameson Williams was on my bench, right? Do you understand what it means for me to bench Jameson Williams? Stacked as hell in the Scott Fishbowl. Already have over 200 points on my squad, and I still have Breece Hall to play tonight. Like, I'm just over cloud 9 about my Scott Fishbowl draft and how that went. What a serious team that was for me. I can't wait for the standings to come out later to kind of see how I shape up with the rest of the tournament. But anyway, we're not really here to talk about my Scott Fishbowl team. We're here to talk some fantasy football. And as mentioned at the top of the show, we are giving 1 reaction per team. We're going to talk about everything that, not everything. We're going to talk about 1 or 2 things per game, essentially. And we are going to go ahead and start with just the Chiefs-Ravens game because while it happened on Thursday, we're just going to lump it in here. Why not? And my takeaway from the Chiefs is that Xavier Worthy is legit. Yes, he didn't get a ton of volume. He only had 3 targets and 1 carry, but what did he do with those? He brought in 2 of those targets. He took his carry for a touchdown. 1 of his receptions was a touchdown as well. And this was only week 1 as a rookie. He had over a 70% snap share for Kansas City in this week, which is over double what Rashee Rice had in week 1 last season. For him to break out this early for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's massive news for everyone that drafted him in Dynasty, and especially those who drafted him in redraft, because, the early breakout is always what you want to see from a rookie. And it's not going to stop there. I mean, Marquise Brown is still banged up. And for him to be so productive with his limited opportunity as a rookie in his first NFL start is only going to make Patrick Mahomes and the offensive staff trust him that much more. So Xavier Worthy is truly legit, too legit to quit, and worthy of being in our starting lineups, honestly, probably the rest of the season. I can't think of why you would be benching Xavier Worthy going forward with his quarterback being Patrick Mahomes with the production we've already seen from 1 week. Xavier Worthy is that dope. He just is that dope. So we'll go ahead and move on now from the Ravens, from the Chiefs to the Ravens. And on the Ravens, I just want to say, I really just want to put it out there. Do not overreact. Do not overreact to Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. There's really no point to overreact to this at all. Yes, I did lose one of the Wake and Take listener leagues, best ball listener leagues, because Dakota got himself Isaiah Likely. He single-handedly brought me down. But this honestly should have just been what we expected. This is what week 1 is all about, right? Like, I saw in the chat that week 1 overreactions, right? Like, that is the case for some of these maybe. But I think for the most part, a lot of my takeaways that I'm going with here are going to, pretty much ring true. And I just think that people looking to sell Mark Andrews, people looking to buy Isaiah Likely is going to end up being one of the biggest overreactions from this week. And it's going to be very, very detrimental. I had someone in my league try to trade me Isaiah Likely for Alvin Kamara. Like, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here trying to get my Alvin Kamara with Isaiah Likely after 1 big game. A game, mind you, that this was the first time all offseason that Mark Andrews was even able to practice because he picked up an injury and then got in a car crash, right? So to see Mark Andrews start off slow is probably what we should have expected anyway. And to see Isaiah Likely start off hot is probably what we should have expected anyway as well. given everything we were hearing from the Baltimore Ravens over the offseason, talking about wanting to use tight end sets, how good Isaiah Likely has looked as a pass catcher, how we know that Zay Flowers is an alpha beta, right? Like, he is just a beta at the end of the day. Zay Flowers is. He doesn't have the winning ability beyond like 10 yards past the line of scrimmage, right? Like, he's very good. He's got great yak. He's a good route runner in these short routes, but beyond that, not so much. And so Isaiah Likely had a lot of opportunity. And also that's why I like Tez Walker, as we talked about too, where I think that there's going to be a potential for a deep shot, and the Ravens were desperately missing it in this game. But why you shouldn't be overreacting is just the usage. Yes, Isaiah Likely finished with 12 targets, brought in 9 of them for 111 yards and a touchdown. And Mark Andrews only had 2 targets for 14 yards and nothing, essentially. They were pretty much neck and neck in terms of availability on the football field. Mark Andrews actually ran 59 snaps compared to Isaiah Likely's, and ran 38 routes compared to 35 of Isaiah Likely. So Mark Andrews was actually out there more than Isaiah Likely in this week. But I think literally ahead of the game, Mark and the coaching staff probably said to Lamar, hey, Mark Andrews is not 100%. In fact, he's like 60%. Don't really throw him the ball. There's not much usage to give him the ball. Just give it Isaiah Likely. And so, I mean, yes, I do think Isaiah Likely will establish himself as a pass catcher in this offense. But I still do think by the end of the year, it's got to be Mark Andrews. Like, it's Mark Andrews. So if anything, try to get Mark Andrews while you still can, right? Definitely try to get him while you still can. Anyway, so that is the Chiefs Ravens. We can move on now to the Packers Eagles game, which was pretty disappointing, right? It was going to be awesome. Jordan Love looked incredible, especially there at the end. He made a couple big plays, especially with Jaden Reed, to almost get back into position to win the game, actually, against the Eagles. But then, of course, Jordan Love picks up that injury. Very, very disappointing. So I just want to say, really, while Jaden Reed looked incredible in this game, while Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs also got a decent bit of volume, the player you want from the Packers right now with this Jordan Love injury is going to be Josh Jacobs. And I know Josh Jacobs started off slow. I remember my Twitter timeline just being filled with Josh Jacobs is dust. Josh Jacobs is over. Well, he ends the day with 84 rush yards off of 16 carries and also has 2 receptions off of 3 targets for 20 yards. And he averaged, 10 yards a catch and 5 yards a carry, which was really, really good. And he did start to show some signs of life towards the end of the game, and then just had to kind of, throughout the game just got better. He just kind of had to work through the kinks, get up to game speed at the beginning of the game, but then he got there. And this is Josh Jacobs. We're talking about a guy who has just done nothing in his career but handle massive workloads and be productive. With Jordan Love gone now for the next few weeks, Josh Jacobs is probably going to be relied on heavily. Malik Willis is not a good quarterback. Now, this might suck for the Packers, really. I mean, even Josh Jacobs, as I'm talking about acquiring him, I could see him having a rough next few weeks. I'm expecting defenses to just completely stack the box. Malik Willis literally cannot do a single thing. So I do hope the Packers bring in a different quarterback. But for now, get Josh Jacobs. I think that you can definitely get him a little bit cheaper right now, especially with the Jordan Love deflation in the offense and the fact that he started off slow in this game, didn't score a touchdown or anything. I think Josh Jacobs is very, very acquirable right now, but you can't very often get running backs that get that type of opportunity as easily as you can Josh Jacobs right now. So I would go ahead and get that guy on your team. And then for the Eagles, as expected, right? Like, this was one of the craziest things to me is how cheap Saquon Barkley was. He should not have been a middle to late second round, sometimes even third round pick this year. He's going to get a ton of opportunity there in Philadelphia. He is a true hero RB, a guy who can handle massive workloads, a guy with insane athleticism, and a guy who in this game had 24 carries for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also brought in 2 catches for 23 yards and another touchdown. He scored a hat trick in his first game as a Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley is going to be a league winner this year. Total stud, great value. Congratulations to everyone that got Saquon Barkley at his discount. I can't even imagine what the price to get him is right now at all. I really can't. It's probably ridiculous, and I don't blame him, right? I do not blame people who have Saquon Barkley not wanting to get rid of him anymore. He could literally be the Eagles offense this year, given what we saw from him in just his first week on the team, given what we saw from the abysmal tush pushes that the Eagles tried without Jason Kelce and failed both attempts miserably. It's going to have to come down to Saquon Barkley, not just as a runner, but also as a pass catcher out of the backfield. The offense did look really fun, and a big part of that was Saquon Barkley. So, Saquon Barkley, league winner. That's going to be one of my reactions from this week. Pittsburgh Steelers is the next one. We can talk Pittsburgh Steelers. Why not talk Pittsburgh Steelers? They beat my Atlanta Falcons. And as I said when we kind of did our little pick'em for this game, I did not expect Russell Wilson Steelers to beat the Falcons at all. And I did say the only way the Steelers win this game is if Justin Fields plays. And then, of course, the monkey paw curled. Russell Wilson ends up being held out with his calf injury, and they do end up starting Justin Fields. And I've just got to say, Russell Wilson is not getting this job back. He is not. Justin Fields is the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, and it's going to be for the rest of the season. In this game, Justin Fields, of course, pulls out the win, but really didn't look too shabby. But also, the big thing for me is the fact that he didn't really turn the ball over. He didn't. He did have one fumble, but he was able to recover it, and he was only sacked twice. One of those sacks was pretty bad. I'll give it to him. But no turnovers, and decent completion percentage as well, 17 of 23 for 156 pass yards, demonstrated a great connection with George Pickens, and then also added 14 carries on the ground for 57 yards. And so credit to the Atlanta Falcons, to be honest. I kind of want to credit the Atlanta Falcons defense. I mean, Justin Fields looked good, but not like Justin Fields, right? Like I was expecting Justin Fields to run wild in this game, but he was actually contained pretty well, which hasn't happened to Justin Fields a lot. Like normally if Justin Fields is getting 14 carries in a game, he has 100 rush yards and a rush touchdown, but the dude didn't even score a single touchdown. I mean, this game came down to Chris Boswell, so credit to the Falcons defense, but I do think that this Steelers offense is looking pretty damn good with Justin Fields, and I can't really think of a reason. I mean, they pull off a win, an upset win even, with Justin Fields. No big turnovers. In fact, he looked pretty damn good, to be honest. He looked really solid. No one's going to want Russell Wilson to start. There's no reason. So Justin Fields, congratulations to everyone that held on to him. Congratulations to everyone that drafted him. Looks like he's going to be the guy, and that's awesome. Awesome for this guy. You know how many Justin Fields rookie cards I bought this offseason? I was just stocking up on them things. I mean, like, why wouldn't Justin Fields be good in Pittsburgh with Arthur Smith? And another point, right? The monkey paw, like, this is all, we'll just go ahead and move on to the Falcons. But this is all Arthur Smith wanted, right? All Arthur Smith asked for before being fired probably was, hey, just give me Justin Fields. I want Justin Fields on this team. I don't have a quarterback. You're making me throw out Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. You're making me get rid of Matt Ryan. I need a quarterback. Please just give me Justin Fields. And the front office says, no. In fact, we're going to fire you. We're going to bring in our old head coach that we had to fire. We're going to bring in $200 million Achilles 36-year-old Kirk Cousins. We're going to draft another quarterback in the first round, and you're going to like it. And Arthur Smith says, okay, I'll just go be an offensive coordinator and get Justin Fields in Pittsburgh and beat you week one. Oh, God, that was miserable to watch. The Falcons' offense looked horrendous. It looked awful. And part of that, of course, is that Kirk Cousins is clearly not 100%. Part of that is going to be that TJ Watt is a game wrecker. But my Falcons' takeaway here is that it's going to get better. And as much as I want to victory lap Kyle Pitts, so bad. I want to so bad. Because he scored a touchdown and it was awesome. Let's go, Kyle Pitts! Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown. What did we say time and time again? Kyle Pitts is the alpha receiver for the Falcons over Drake London because Drake London is not good at separation, is not athletic. Kyle Pitts is going to be the main pass catcher, but holy shit, was I wrong? I mean, yes, he's going to outperform Drake London there, but Ray McLeod leads the team in targets. Bijan Robinson has more targets than Kyle Pitts as well, and Bijan Robinson's going to be my big Atlanta Falcons takeaway. Ladies and gentlemen, how good does it feel? How good does it feel to see Bijan Robinson 18 carries and 5 receptions, Tyler Algier 3 carries? Do you know how awesome that is? We have been clamoring and hoping for Bijan Robinson since last season with Arthur Smith to just be a bell cow workhorse and get all the opportunity. 5 targets, 5 receptions, 18 carries. He looked electric as well, not only as a runner, but also as a pass catcher. When this Falcons offense gets a little better and isn't going up against the stingy Steelers defense, I do think that Bijan Robinson's going to be a total stud. And hey, he was 100% worth reaching on in the first round. Seeing this type of usage from him is extremely encouraging. It's awesome to see it. Let's go, Bijan Robinson. Moving to the Buffalo Bills. This is the true first victory lap of the episode. I know. We shouldn't be victory lapping early and all this stuff. It's only week 1. But guys, what have we been saying about the Buffalo Bills time and time again, all offseason? There is no alpha in Buffalo. There is no alpha wide receiver in Buffalo. There's no alpha tight end in Buffalo. So here's what we're going to say. Ha, ha, ha. Dalton Kincaid. Ha, ha, ha. I have 5% exposure to Dalton Kincaid on Best Ball this year. I have 0 Dalton Kincaid. Actually, I have 1 Dalton Kincaid share in Dynasty, and I've been trying so hard all offseason to sell him. No one was paying up because everyone was wise to it, it felt like, at least in my leagues. And the fact that Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, James Cook, Mac Hollins, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Curtis Samuel, and Ray Davis has more catches than Dalton Kincaid is so laughable. So laughable. I mean, my goodness. How many times did I scream from the rooftops, say to anyone to listen, do not draft Dalton Kincaid where he's at. There's no reason to do it. You can get Kyle Pitts later. You can get anyone later. There is no reason. Everyone on this Buffalo Bills team is going to be involved. Every pass catcher is going to get a little bit amount of targets. I'm getting crazy with this Dalton Kincaid take. I am. We don't have to wait 3 to 4 weeks. Do you know what the Buffalo Bills told us all offseason? There's no alpha. They talked about it. Coaches have come out multiple times and talked about it. But everyone, it seemed, in the fantasy football space just put on their blinders, said, oh, no, I'm not listening to the coaches. I'm not listening to the snap shares. Tyrell Shavers during the training camp was working with the ones. And what did we say? That means that they don't want an alpha. The Buffalo Bills have watched the blueprint from the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? They saw last year that you can win a Super Bowl without an alpha. You just need your quarterback to play like an MVP. You need your quarterback to find the open receivers. You need a good defense. You need your quarterback, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? Dalton Kincaid is not the alpha here. He's going to have weeks, right? There will be weeks where he has 4 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. I guarantee it now on this show. I've already said it before. I'll say it again. He has 0 20-point games this season and will not be the alpha. There's no point. As I've said time and time again, the people who are like the person who leads the Bills in the targets is not going to lead or be ahead by more than like 10 targets. Okay. Like it is going to be very, very consolidated because that's how it works on this offense. There is like, it's Josh Allen. Okay. They tried it with Stephon Diggs. They tried to force feed an alpha and it failed time and time again. Okay. So there was no reason to be taking Dalton Kincaid where he was going. And I'm just so glad that I get vindicated in the first week of the season. It's awesome. It's awesome. Now, on the other side of the ball, this is where I'll have to take a little bit of an L lap here. I really thought Marvin Harrison Jr. would be heavily involved early. Marvin Harrison Jr. finishes the day with only 3 targets and only brings in 1 of them for 4 yards. However, it's not time to panic yet. I'm sure you've all seen the clip going around. Marvin Harrison Jr. wide open for the game-winning touchdown, and he was just not thrown the ball to. This has been the case the whole game, too, where Marvin Harrison Jr., unfortunately, was getting open time and time again, but Kyler Murray was simply just not looking his way. I'm sure after a little bit of film study and being able to see that, as well as just kind of getting through his reads and stuff, he was just going to Greg Dortch. He was just going to James Conner, Trey McBride, the people that he's used to because it's week 1, okay? But through the course of the season, Marvin Harrison Jr. will heat up. Don't panic yet. In fact, go ahead and try to acquire Marvin Harrison Jr. while you still can because he's going to be a stud. He will, so don't get too crazy. Don't get too upset. Marvin Harrison Jr. Going to be fine, but definitely a little bit of a deflating week 1, but that's fine. He's a rookie. We've been spoiled over the last few years. It doesn't really matter that much. But, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., get him while you still can, I would say. Now, the next rookie that I want to talk about now is going to be Caleb Williams. And guys, this is what we should have expected. Again. The Bears defense was good. We knew it. And we know that the Chicago Bears had weapons. However, we also know that Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback, and we all know it, okay? We know this. Matt Eberflus does not know how to develop quarterbacks, okay? He's not an offensive-minded coach. He's just not. Okay? Caleb Williams was always going to start off slow, and that is why I said time and time again this offseason, sell him, do not trade for him, just offload him. You could have taken Caleb Williams and got Jaden Daniels plus. You could have taken Caleb Williams, and I know Jordan Love got hurt, but you could have gotten Jordan Love plus. You could have got Kyler Murray plus. You could have gotten any actual proven quarterback or other rookie quarterbacks with a nice cherry on top. But we were so excited about what Caleb's could do instantly. We're so spoiled by what CJ Stroud was able to put together last year that we forget that rookie quarterbacks can come out and throw for less than 100 yards in their start. Now, credit to Caleb Williams. He does not turn the ball over, which is awesome. Good news for him. No interceptions there. But less than 50% completion percentage, less than 100 passing yards, and no wide receiver had more than 40 yards. In fact, no one on the team had more than 36 yards. DJ Moore leads the way with 5 receptions for 36. If you have Caleb Williams, you've just got to hold him. Luckily for me, I was able to sell my only Caleb Williams share. I was able to get Josh Jacobs and Drake May and a single quarterback. And I just think that's going to be fantastic. Caleb Williams will be fine over the course of the year. But as I said, basically, there was going to be a buying opportunity for him. And I felt that he would start off slow because why wouldn't you? Again, I don't believe in Matt Eberflus as a quarterback developer. I just don't. We saw it with Justin Fields. Justin Fields showed so many intangibles and was never able to develop, okay, under his tutelage. It's going to struggle here with Caleb Williams, but he'll get better by the course of the season. He will, credit to Keenan Allen actually leads the team in targets. That was a big surprise for me. But either way, Caleb Williams off to a rocky start, going to get better, not throwing for 4,000 passing yards. He's not. Maybe next year he will not have that good of a rookie season, and I'm sorry for everyone that was hoping for it. Now, Tennessee Titans. It's time for another victory lap. Who planted their flag on the Tennessee Titans specifically? And specifically, Tony Pollard. This guy. I've got 2 thumbs, and I'm a Tony Pollard truther. That's me to a T. As we talked about time and time again, the Tennessee Titans would not have brought him in and paid him the money if they didn't want to utilize him. Okay? And we saw last year Tony Pollard was unfortunately for Tony Pollard, recovering from an injury. But then, as we saw towards the back half of the season, he came to life for Dallas last year. He was able to handle massive workload. He was able to be explosive. He was able to score touchdowns. And now with a full offseason of healing, he's good. And the Tennessee Titans needed a running back like him. Tony Pollard finishes the day with 16 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown, and then also brings in 3 catches for 12 yards. Tyjae Spears, on the other hand, only has 4 carries and 4 catches. So we're talking about 19 touches to 8 touches. And that's just incredible. That's just fantastic. Tony Pollard is going to end up being one of the steals of the draft. As we talked about, he was definitely one of the steals of dynasty value over the offseason. You could get him for so cheap this offseason. Like, he was in Nick Chubb range for no reason at all. So congratulations to everyone that held on to Tony Pollard, acquired Tony Pollard, drafted Tony Pollard. He's landed in an incredible offense. But I also do want to say, buy Tyjae Spears if you can, if he's available right now. A lot of people were hoping he'd have a good workload. He's not. But if Tony Pollard does go down, he will. And he's still going to get catches. Like, he's still going to be fine. Like, 8 opportunities, half of them being receptions. In PPR leagues, that's pretty good, especially with the athleticism Tyjae Spears has. But it's Tony Pollard. He's the running back you want in Tennessee. And I'm really glad that I ended up choosing correctly, because I could have had a lot of egg on my face. I could have had a lot of egg on my face, and I didn't. Thank God. Thank God. Now, we'll move on now to where we all had some egg on our face, and that is the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots shocked us all yesterday, and that is why we love the NFL. Why do we love the NFL? Because any given Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, holy shit. In a game where Jacoby Brissett only has 121 passing yards, no wide receiver has more than 31 yards. In fact, Austin Hooper leads the Patriots in receiving yards in this game. They win. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. It's incredible. It was incredible. So just really shout out to the Patriots. I don't really have a player take here. I mean, obviously we all knew Ramondre Stevenson was going to be the bell cow, and I'm sorry to anyone that still believed in Antonio Gibson. I understand the athleticism was there, but we knew, especially with the money that Ramondre Stevenson got, that he was going to be heavily involved. And what's he do? 120 yards off of 25 carries and a touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson looked really solid. And really this whole Patriots team, this is the deal, right? This is the deal. If you can have a head coach that can fire up your team and just come up with a good game plan, that's all you need to do. If you can just not turn the ball over, you're good to go. The Bengals lose because of turnovers here. They only lose by, was it 6, 8? Doesn't matter. One score, okay? And they would have had it, too. Tanner Hudson going into the end zone, fumbles. Mike Gesicki drops a touchdown catch while he's falling to the ground. Things just did not go the Bengals' way. Things went the Patriots' way. And it was honestly kind of a dominant performance. These Bengals struggled hard. Joe Burrow, only 164 passing yards, no touchdowns. And really, no one looked good. Zach Moss ends up being fine for fantasy because he gets a touchdown, but Chase Brown gets barely involved. This is just why we love football. And why the Bengals, for my Bengals take, just need to pay Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was not really utilized until the game was out of hand. And even then, Jamar Chase still wasn't utilized a ton. It was clear he was either not 100% or not giving full effort. 6 targets, 6 receptions, 62 yards. And they need to pay him because the Bengals are not going to win many games without him. And it was clear, right? And with T. Higgins coming back as well, at some point too, this Bengals team could bounce back. But they do need to pay Jamar Chase. He's a huge part of this offense. And it's clear now. Clear as day. He is counting his check, right? Like he is just counting his money right now, just waiting to see when his contract comes in and what he can get. Just pay Jamar Chase, Cincinnati. That's my takeaway from that one. Moving to the Texans. As we said, this is another minor victory lap because it wasn't totally correct. It was not totally correct, but it was mostly correct. And this is that all wide receivers on the Houston Texans are going to be good. Every single one of them are going to be fantastic for fantasy this season. And it was supposed to be expected. Again, as we talked about, if you were to add up all the target shares that these wide receivers got last year, you would only get up to 75%. And they're just so good. There's no reason to really add much opportunity to Dalton Schultz. Maybe a few like here and there to him and Joe Mixon. But it's going to be consolidated between the 3. That's been my take of the summer for this team. But then also, I was pretty in on Tank Dell. I really felt that Tank Dell would be the man here over the 2 a little bit more, but it's going to be pretty even. And Stephon Diggs came out the gate hot. I did not expect it. Now, of course, the only reason he does well actually is touchdown. So I am curious to see how he looks over the course of the season, especially without touchdowns, because he had 6 receptions, but only 33 yards. So I do think that's concerning, but 8 targets for Nico, 7 for Tank Dell, 6 for Stephon Diggs. That's incredible stuff. All 3 are going to be heavily involved over the course of the season, and CJ Stroud's going to put together an MVP caliber season. It's going to be awesome. Get your Texans while you can, and perhaps use this opportunity to buy low on Tank Dell because he was actually second in targets. He was second in targets, had 7 targets, but only brought in 3 of them. So you can acquire him pretty easily right now. He's going to be good to go. Now, moving from the Texans, we can head on over to the Indianapolis Colts. And the Indianapolis Colts takeaway from this game is Anthony Richardson's going to Anthony Richardson. He finishes the day with less than 50% completions, 9 of 19, 212 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, but then also adds 56 rush yards and a rushing touchdown and just looked phenomenal. The Alec Pierce touchdown to open the game was just incredible. While he's kind of falling back, just able to chuck it 65 yards in the air. Ashton Dulin scores a touchdown somehow. This Colts offense looked pretty good. And of course, a lot of it came down to Anthony Richardson. And this is just how it's going to be. You don't have to be a prolific passer to be good for fantasy. In fact, you don't have to be a prolific passer to be good for the NFL. It's the Justin Fields thing, right? If you can just run an offense and limit turnovers and run out the clock, you're going to be fine. It's at least going to be competitive. And they, really brought it to the Texans in this game. So shout out Anthony Richardson. He's a total stud. Anthony Richardson, Anthony Richardson. Who cares about his completion percentage? I don't. He scored us fantasy points. Moving to the Miami Dolphins. Devon Achane. Devon Achane is a very, very fun one. Incredible performance for him. Only 10 carries for 24 yards and a touchdown. But what the big takeaway from Devon Achane is the slot receiver stuff, just working out as a receiver in general, is true. Is true. We heard it all off season that they were working on making him more of a pass catcher. And once he gets 7 targets, brings in all 7 of them for 76 receiving yards. That's where a lot of his production is going to come from this season. Yeah, I mean, he's the main featured guy too. 10 carries for him, 6 for Mostert, 5 for Jeff Wilson, right? So Jalen Wright, healthy scratch in this game. But do remember that Devon Achane was a healthy scratch last year as well. So Jalen Wright will be fine. They probably just didn't want to risk an injury. Didn't need him out there, especially with Jeff Wilson getting 5 carries. But Devon Achane's a stud. Looked incredible in this game. Going to catch a lot of passes, which I think is coming not necessarily out of nowhere, but we didn't know like what that actually meant, right? Like, yeah, sure, he's working with receivers, but like, does that just mean he's going to, they just think that he should catch passes better for his like 3-4 targets a game, or is he actually going to be featured as a pass catcher? And the answer is he's going to be featured as a pass catcher, which is just incredible news for people that drafted him, especially as his ADP fell all offseason. It just continuously got lower and lower and lower. So for the people that got Devon Achane towards the end of the offseason, they're probably pretty ecstatic because that was a really good pick. And like he ended up going in like the 4th and 5th sometimes after starting the year off in the 3rd. So Devon Achane, he's here to stay as not just an electric runner, but as a pass catcher as well. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is time to get excited about Brian Thomas Jr. In fact, he scores a touchdown in this game. 4 receptions for 47 yards, leads the team in targets with 4, ties with other receivers, but we'll just say leads the team in targets with 4, gets that touchdown. He's going to be huge this season. Again, to see early production from a rookie is all you could dream of. And Brian Thomas Jr. has athleticism for days. That connection with Trevor Lawrence is going to continue to blossom and grow throughout the year. If you can acquire Brian Thomas Jr. for the right price, do it. Downgrade from maybe like a DK Metcalf if you can even do that now. You probably can't even do that now. But either way, get Brian Thomas Jr. on your team. Those of you who drafted him are probably feeling good. And I mean, like he's going to be good to go all season, really. I mean, to have 4 receptions, 47 yards, and a touchdown in week 1 is incredible stuff. That's incredible stuff from him. Love some Brian Thomas Jr. Happy to see it. Saints. The New Orleans Saints. This was one of the craziest games we've seen. The Saints absolutely dismantled the Carolina Panthers. But the big takeaway here is Alvin Kamara is going to have another incredible season. Alvin Kamara in this game, before it gets out of hand, 15 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown. Also has 5 receptions for 27 yards. That's 20 touches for 100 yards and a touchdown. That's all you want. That's Alvin Kamara to a T. And it's going to be like that all season. Jamal Williams did get some work in this game, but a lot of that came because they were just absolutely destroying the Carolina Panthers. Awful, awful, awful performance from them. Really solid performance from the New Orleans Saints. Alvin Kamara is gearing up for another huge season. If you can acquire him in Dynasty, definitely do it. Obviously going to be tougher to acquire in redraft, but even then he was going at a little bit of volume. I mean, Alvin Kamara was going after like Aaron Jones in a lot of drafts, and I'm not really sure why. He still has a lot of juice and explosiveness on top of having a lot of opportunity. You got to get Alvin Kamara on your team. He's geared up for another huge, huge season. And moving to the Panthers. This is a great take, Isaac, and this is actually what I wrote down. This is why you don't invest in unproven teams. There is absolutely and was absolutely really a zero reason to be investing in this Panthers offense at cost. Bryce Young finishes the day 13 of 30, 160 yards and 2 interceptions, does get a rushing touchdown towards the end. No receiver has more than 49 yards, no receiving touchdowns. No one really gets involved. Even Miles Sanders ends up being the leading rusher for this team. They looked horrible. And that's why you don't draft Deontay Johnson, right? Like they still had Adam Thielen. They had drafted Xavier Legette. They drafted Jonathan Mingo last year. They drafted Jatavian Sanders. It was more so just to try to make it easier on Bryce Young, but that even didn't work because this offensive line is still very, very bad. You can't expect Dave Canales to be that much of a miracle worker. He was awful last year. And so this is why you don't invest in unproven offenses at cost. You can buy into it if you do believe they'll turn it around. And I'm sure they will. I do think that Bryce Young will start to put it together at some point. I really don't think they're going to give up on him after this season. The Saints defense is tough too, right? I mean, like this was a tough matchup. You hope from more for the Panthers, but you know, this was week 1. We should have expected a slow start, maybe not this slow, but there was no reason to be investing really in this offense, and this is why, right? You know, you want to let them prove it to you first, because you know, we all thought Chuba Hubbard would be a true bell cow, but Miles Sanders gets almost just as many touches as him. So it's weird. It's just weird stuff in Carolina. Not sure when they'll figure it out, but I'm sure they will at some point, maybe just closer to the end of the season. Bryce Young's got to sit on your bench forever, though. I mean, like, when are you gonna start Bryce Young without him showing it to you first? The answer is never. Now, moving from the Panthers and Saints game to the Vikings-Giants game, and my Minnesota Vikings takeaway is just that Kevin O'Connell does it again. We saw last year that any quarterback that took the field for the Minnesota Vikings was good for fantasy. And Sam Darnold was incredible. He only had 1 incompletion in the entire first half. Finishes the day 19-24 for 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Justin Jefferson leads the team in targets. Justin Jefferson gets 60 yards and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson does Justin Jefferson things. So congratulations to people that didn't fade Justin Jefferson, like Mr. Harry Snowman in the chat, like me in the chat, or not me, I'm not in the chat, but just like me, you know, like I wanted Justin Jefferson. I had him as my wide receiver 2 this season. Even with Sam Darnold, he's just going to get utilized. And I think that, of course, I would have liked to see a little bit more volume go his way, but still, Sam Darnold looked pretty damn good in this game. I'm sure he'll turn back into a pumpkin at some point, but for now, Kevin O'Connell does it again, and this Vikings offense looks pretty fun. Now, to the Giants, as we knew, right? We know this. Everyone knows this. Daniel Jones is going to lose his job. Rest in peace. It is not going to last long at all. Awful performance for him. 22 of 42, 186 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, only 15 rush yards. Looked abysmal. Awful. He's going to get benched very, very quickly just because of his injury guarantee, but also because of poor play. The Vikings defense is not as good as they made Daniel Jones look bad, okay? Like, it was just horrible performance from him, especially. Rest in peace, Daniel Jones. Next, Los Angeles Chargers. I can't believe I did that. Los Angeles Chargers. J.K. Dobbins is here, guys. For now. He finishes the day with 10 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown, which is awesome. He also has 3 receptions, which is awesome. Gus Edwards, only 11 carries for 26 yards, which is horrible. J.K. Dobbins is trying to earn himself a bigger role in this offense, and I think has. However, it's only for now. We still know it. He's not going to be able to last this whole season. You can see it even on his breakaway runs. He's so explosive at the line of scrimmage and then just loses gas the more he runs. He does not have the stamina or really the health anymore to be able to have these massive breakaway runs that he used to. He's going to have these decent medium breakaway runs, but he clearly still... I'm going to give him this, right? Like, he did not look 100%, but he still had 135 yards and a touchdown. And that just goes to show how athletic he used to be before all his injuries piled up, which just makes you kind of feel a bit sad on what could have been for J.K. Dobbins. But hey, if he can stay healthy this year, I mean, he's still geared up for a good season. Again, only 10 carries, but gets 135 rush yards and a touchdown and also 3 receptions. So a really, really good game for him. Hopefully he can keep it up, but I think it's just more of a for now. Moving on to the Raiders. And I guess I've got to apologize. I did not expect Brock Bowers to be featured this heavily this early. Brock Bowers leads the Raiders in targets this week. He has 8 targets. Devontae Adams only has 6. I think that's wild. But also incredible, right? For people who drafted Brock Bowers and redraft, people who drafted Brock Bowers in rookie drafts, people who just have Brock Bowers. You probably had to be concerned. I know I was, that Devontae Adams is going to get all of the volume. But no, Brock Bowers leads the team in targets. Congratulations to him. Looks pretty good too. Gets 8 targets, brings in 6 of them for 58 yards. Really good game for him, and this is just the beginning. Gardner Minshew was looking his way frequently. Michael Mayer only had 3 targets, so he almost had 3 times as many targets than Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers did. So really, really good debut for Brock Bowers. Love to see it. 8 targets, leads the Raiders in targets. Brock Bowers, he's here to stay. Now moving from the Seahawks, from the Raiders to the Seahawks. This is good stuff, guys. Kenneth Walker. Why were we fading Kenneth Walker? Seriously. Why were people fading Kenneth Walker? Why? That was one of my big flag plants from this offseason. I love myself some Kenneth Walker. I knew that he was going to be the bell cow in Seattle. It was easy to see. And man, did he look good. Kenneth Walker victory lap coming up. 20 carries, 103 yards, and a touchdown. Also brings in 2 receptions off of screens. Zach Charbonnet only 10 touches compared to Kenneth Walker's 22. Kenneth Walker is a stud. As I said, top 5 in rushing yards this season. He's going to be a true bell cow for Seattle. He's going to outperform his ADP. We were only a year removed from him being the dynasty RB1, and for some reason people were fading him because of Zach Charbonnet. Come on. Kenneth Walker, true beast. Love some K9. Looked incredible in this game. Let's go, Kenneth Walker. To the Broncos. What was my one Denver Broncos take? Really, I guess I technically 2, but it was one take together for the Broncos. You don't want to invest in this backfield. Why would you want to invest in the Denver Broncos backfield? Not only are they going to be bad, but all we heard this offseason is that there's no true bell cow, that they want to utilize a bunch of different backs. And in this game, Jaleel McLaughlin actually has the most carries. 10 carries for Jaleel McLaughlin, 27 yards. 8 carries for Javonte Williams for 23 yards. Audric Estime gets 2 carries as well. They were all involved. But Jaleel McLaughlin was the main one. 5 receptions for Jaleel McLaughlin as well. Leads the team in carries. This is why you don't invest in this backfield, because it was going to be a crapshoot, and there was no reason to do it. Because now I bet what you could do is probably go acquire Jaleel McLaughlin for exactly what the manager paid for him, or less even, right? And that's what I said. Time and time again, don't invest in this backfield. Let someone prove themselves first, because even if they do prove themselves, they're going to be cheap to acquire, right? Like, it's going to be a committee. And so that's why we were avoiding it. And if we wanted Broncos, we were just going for Bo Nix and some of the pass catchers. Trey Franklin ends up being a healthy scratch. Bo Nix doesn't look that good, but it is still just, the first week of the season for a rookie quarterback. I'm sure he can figure it out over the course of the year. But this is why we avoided the Denver Broncos backfield. In fact, I think this was the only backfield that I truly avoided. I have no Javonte Williams, no Jaleel McLaughlin. I have one Audric Estime dynasty share because he fell very, very far in an FFPC rookie draft. And I started Audric Estime because my other running back is Kamani Vidal. That team is shit. We've talked about it. I literally took on that orphan because the team was bad. I wanted to challenge myself. So that's my only Broncos backfield share, is one Audric Estime that I got in the 5th round in a rookie draft on FFPC. I just had to press the button, but I didn't feel good about it. But yeah, that's why you avoid it, right? You just don't. There's no reason to attack murky backfields, and especially murky backfields on a bad offense. There was no reason to do it. So that's why we did it. Already evidenced in week 1. Moving to the Cowboys. Ryan Flournoy's season is ahead of us, guys. Ryan Flournoy is going to happen still. I understand that Brandon Cooks looked good in this game. In fact, I will say this. Apologies to Brandon Cooks. I called him cooked all offseason, to be honest. And he looked damn good. 4 receptions off of 7 targets, brings in 40 yards and a touchdown. Has a carry as well in this game. Got utilized a lot, actually, and looked good. Again, scores a touchdown. So apologies to Brandon Cooks for calling him Brandon Cooked. However, the wide receiver 3 role is still wide open. Jalen Brooks, 1 reception. Jalen Tolbert, 1 reception. Kevontae Turpin, 0 receptions off of 1 target. Hunter Luepke gets mixed in here, right? Ryan Flournoy is going to happen at some point. However, my optimism to be wide receiver 2 looks a little less likely. Still going to be wide receiver 3 by the end of the year. He's going to be awesome, guys. Still get Ryan Flournoy while you can. I had to figure out a way to get him in here. But I mostly wanted to apologize to Brandon Cooks, who looked good. Really good pick, really. Really, really cheap in best ball, especially, which is exactly where you want Brandon Cooks. So, hey, pretty cool. Oh, Jamie putting out a cool tweet message here. Aubrey had a 66-yard field goal that was actually called back by a penalty. We know that Aubrey has a leg. He was awesome last year. So if he's available in a kicker league, sure, go get yourself some Aubrey. Not many people can kick 66 yards, and Justin Tucker looked washed in that Ravens game. Now, moving from the Cowboys to the Browns. And guys, ha, 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 Deshaun Watson, ha, ha, ha. That's all we could say. Like, I have never had so much pleasure for a player performing bad than Deshaun Watson. I hate to say that. I don't mean to be mean or anything like that. But I don't understand the love for Deshaun Watson. I don't get it. Not only is he a shit person off the field, he hasn't shown us anything on the field since he's returned to football, especially in Cleveland, to make you want to draft him, to make you want to trade for him in Dynasty. He hasn't shown a single damn thing, and we keep just getting hopeful, right? Like, we're like, oh, eventually he'll turn back into Deshaun Watson. What if he just doesn't? What if he's just a broken man? What if he's just broken? What if he's just fucked up in the head? Which is what all the signs point to. I don't mean to be mean, but holy shit. Holy shit. The guy got his money. His thing is complete. His contract completely guaranteed. And he's bad now. He took a year off from football, then had the suspension. So almost 2 years off of football, and he lost it. It's impossible to get it back. It's impossible to get it back. Okay? It just is. And so I'm sorry for anyone that thought you were getting late round value. That's why we said time and time again to get Jameis Winston. Do you remember what Jameis Winston said when the Browns brought him in? He was brought in to mentor Deshaun Watson. He's like the same age. Like, do you understand what that means? It means that Deshaun Watson is fucked up. And it shows on the football field. It shows on the football field. 24-45, 169 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Does have 39 rush yards, which helps his floor. But a 9.4 quarterback rating. A 51.1 passer rating. He is broken. He's broken. He is not in the game. He's lost the mindset. He's lost the athleticism. Shout out Harry Snowman. Not repeating, but shout out Harry Snowman. But that's the thing, is it's just like I could never wrap my head around it. Like, why would you want to champion this guy? Like, why would you just want to be like, Deshaun Watson's my guy? Why? And there were so many people doing it. Like, Deshaun Watson's the late round value QB that's going to give you a top 10 upside. No. No. A, the Browns run the ball a ton. And B, Deshaun Watson has been terrible since landing in Cleveland and has no incentive to perform well. Absolutely zero incentive to perform well. Absolutely zero. God. So it's just, I love seeing the crash and burn. I really, really do. This was one of my just most frustrating things to watch this offseason, is how many people were just like, oh, let's get him. It's time for Deshaun Watson. No, it isn't. It never was. It never was. So anyway, we'll move on from the Browns, and we got to go to the Buccaneers. Chris Godwin, back in the slot. Back in the slot means beautiful things. Leads the Buccaneers in targets. 8 targets. Brings in all 8. 83 yards and a touchdown. Awesome stuff. And that opened up the rest of the field for this offense to look right. I've got to give it to the Buccaneers. They lose Dave Canales, right? Brand new offensive coordinator. But they figure it out. I mean, obviously, Bruce Arians still a really, really big part of this team, still helping kind of put these schemes together, which does help. But still, I mean, credit to this team for keeping things going. Again, they were in the playoffs last year and looked really good. And they come out this year, week 1, and continue to look really, really good, not just on offense, but on defense too. My take here is Chris Godwin moving back to the slot is a big part of that. You know, it just opened up the rest of the offense. Baker Mayfield, 24 of 30, almost 300 yards and 4 touchdowns with no turnovers. Mike Evans gets 2 touchdowns. Rashad White has 2 receptions. Jalen McMillan finds the end zone. Chris Godwin in the slot means not only good things for him, but the rest of the offense as well. So glad he's moved back in there. Congratulations to Chris Godwin, managers, owners, rosterers, traders, truthers, whatever you want to call it. Chris Godwin is here to stay and opens up the rest of the offense. Now, Washington Commanders, sure, Jaden Daniels stole the show. He did. Incredible game from Jaden Daniels. I guess I can't say incredible, but accepting, best rookie quarterback performance, right? 17 to 24, not bad. 184 pass yards, not bad. No touchdowns, but also no turnovers, not bad. Now, he did have 3 fumbles, none of them lost, but he did fumble 3 times, so that could end up being a concern. But 16 carries for 88 yards and 2 rush touchdowns as well. Some of that coming in garbage time for sure. But, he looked really good. I guess not really good. He looked good. He looked really solid for a rookie quarterback. Stole the show. However, the takeaway for this game is Brian Robinson. My hot take for the Commanders this season was that Brian Robinson actually has more receptions than Austin Ekeler because, like I said, we heard it. Last year, Brian Robinson, 36 receptions, looked pretty good. And then in training camp, we're hearing about how good the Jaden Daniels to Brian Robinson passing connection is out of the backfield. Brian Robinson is a true workhorse. He's a huge part of this offense and looked good. 12 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown, and also gets 4 targets, the same amount as Austin Ekeler, brings in 3 of them for 49 receiving yards. Brian Robinson is awesome. He's just awesome. He's just one of those running backs. My comp for Brian Robinson, he's the new Josh Jacobs, right? He has kind of the boring name, not very athletic, but can handle a workload and can do it all. Both from Alabama, too. But yeah, so that's my Commanders takeaway. Jaden Daniels may have stole the show, but Brian Robinson is a true workhorse, and you are able to get him after handcuffs. Like Blake Corum sometimes was going ahead of Brian Robinson for some reason. So I love it. I love it. Brian Robinson Jr., one of my most exposed running backs. Kept drafting him this offseason. And now we see true workhorse, true everything. The dude is on fire. And this is just week 1. It's only going to get better from here. And man, this leads us to Sunday Night Football. Do you understand? Do you understand what it feels like to have to do a show in the morning, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern? Do you understand what that feels like? It's awesome. It's a very humbling experience to be able to do this, to have an audience tune in and listen to my words and, find some truth in it, agree with some takes, have some fun with it, maybe disagree with some takes. My one take that I think had the biggest disagreement, the one that most people pushed back on the most, Jameson fucking Williams. The amount of times I have stuck my neck out for this player is unbelievable. It got to a point where I was asking myself, looking myself in the mirror, like, Jason, can you really keep doing this with Jameson Williams? Like, really? And I always said, yes, I fucking can. He's a stud. Jameson Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit. 9 targets? 9 targets? Oh my God. 5 of those, 121 receiving yards and a touchdown. Ah! Oh my fucking God, I'm so over the moon. It's just incredible. Jameson Williams to the moon. I can't believe that me saying Jameson Williams would have 100 targets was a hot take. Can you believe that? On the Detroit Lions, saying that the athletic wide receiver 2 that they spent first-round draft capital on was going to have 100 targets was a hot take. Like, that's how stupid this fantasy football community gets sometimes. And I get it. I understand why people might have been out on him. But all you have to do is ask yourself sometimes is just, hey, can you explain what went wrong? And the answer for Jameson Williams time and time again was yes. Okay, first season, recovering from an injury. Makes sense not to get a ton of volume. Last year, gets suspended, okay? Not much opportunity for him to get a lot of volume. But when he's out there, he's explosive. His first catch in the fucking NFL was a touchdown. He scored 2 touchdowns last year in the NFC Championship. And as we talked about time and time again on this show, he was doing everything right. He wasn't just an explosive playmaker, but if you watch David Montgomery breakaway runs, it's Jameson Williams, the lead blocker. This dude loves football. He just loves football. And all we heard from the coaches all offseason was time and time again, Jameson Williams is working hard. He's earning this role. He's doing everything right. And people just wanted to turn on their blinders because they got burned by him. Are you serious? Are you serious? This was just fucking stupid. It was stupid. Even I, the Jameson Williams truther, didn't expect this good of a performance. 9 targets. Amon-Ra St. Brown only had 6. Like, holy shit. Like, holy shit. He almost had double the amount of targets of Sam Laporta. He had 10 times more yards than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, oh my God, it was so easy. The Lions passed the ball so much. And what did we say? What did I say? Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, they can take the short stuff. They can take the intermediate stuff. But Jameson Williams is a playmaker. And he's more than just a deep play threat. We saw it in this game. He was just running like kind of, what are those called? Crossers. Just crossers. And taking it for yards after catch. I mean, God, he looked so good. He looks so good. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning. Try to get him if you can. Buy high on Jameson Williams. He has that dog in him. He has that dog in him. And speaking of victory laps, why don't we keep going? Oh my God. Oh my God. Cooper Kupp. Do you know, again, how many people were out on Cooper Kupp because he's 31? Like, what? Does that matter? No. What type of receiver is Cooper Kupp? He's a route running specialist, and he's a possession receiver. Okay. I mean, I don't get it. Why wouldn't Cooper Kupp be a stud? And this is, again, the thing. If you can explain why things went wrong, then things didn't go wrong, really. Really, at the end of the day. Cooper Kupp last year was not 100%. We saw it. He missed the first 4 games of the season and then was clearly not 100% throughout the season. That's why Puka Nacua was so heavily involved, right? But we saw it, okay, last year when both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were on the field together, Cooper Kupp actually had more 10-plus target games than Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp, despite missing 4 games last year, was top 10 in red zone targets amongst all wide receivers. Like, he is a huge part of this offense. Puka Nacua this year even was still going to Cooper Kupp's house to learn from him. You don't do that if you're the wide receiver 1. Cooper Kupp was always the wide receiver 1 in Los Angeles, and you could get him so cheap, at least up until a few weeks ago, right? Like, that was one of my big flag plants was Cooper Kupp, outperforms Puka Nacua this season. They're probably both top 15, but Cooper Kupp is the alpha in Los Angeles. And that was a hot take at the beginning of the offseason. It ended up being more of a cold take towards the end of the year as people kind of caught up. But I'm just patting myself on the back because I never gave up on Cooper Kupp. And dude looked incredible in this game. Like, that sideline grab, the toe tap while running full speed. I mean, it's just unbelievable what this man can do on the football field. The connection he has with Matthew Stafford, and there was just no reason to be fading him. And who did we say was the best value quarterback this offseason? It's going to be Matthew Stafford, who finishes the day with 317 passing yards, only 1 touchdown, but threw the ball 49 times, and it's going to continue all season. Cooper Kupp finishes this game 21 targets. 21 targets. Now, of course, I understand a lot of that's coming from the Puka Nacua injury, wishing him the best, but brings in 14 of them for 110 yards and a touchdown. He's going to be a PPR fiend. He's carrying my Scott Fishbowl team as long as he can stay healthy. So happy that I was able to acquire Cooper Kupp this offseason. This is the best trade of the offseason. I traded Jahmyr Gibbs in a dynasty league for this. Now, it sounds crazy. I traded Jahmyr Gibbs. I got Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, and Matthew Stafford. And I know at the time it seemed a little bold. But I said, nah, I am betting on Cooper Kupp. I'm betting on Matthew Stafford. There's no reason not to. Cooper Kupp, taking one more victory lap from this game. This was a true, I felt so good watching this game because I also don't really have a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs, to be honest. It's a split backfield. It's good, right? But anyway, Cooper Kupp, true stud, incredible. Got a victory lap by Cooper Kupp take because that was a big one for me this offseason, all over Cooper Kupp. I have 45% Cooper Kupp in underdog. So I hope I win some money this year. If he can stay healthy, I probably will. And Coulter Watch says sell Cup and Dynasty if you're not top 14. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, if you have Cooper Kupp, you probably are top 14. But yeah, if you do have him and you're losing, you probably could get a nice penny for him. I mean, especially with the Puka Nacua, if that news does come out that he's going to miss some time, definitely a flip candidate. And this is why, this is why I said sell Tyreek Hill. I know I got a lot of shit for it. I get it. Tyreek Hill had a really good game, by the way. And, but what I was saying in that was that you could take Tyreek Hill and you could get Cooper Kupp plus. And at the end of the day, there's not going to be that much difference in terms of season-long production. And I got so much shit for it. I was like, just sell Tyreek Hill for Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, or Mike Evans plus, or Stephon Diggs plus. Like, just go get another old wide receiver who's 20 spots below him in Dynasty, who could perform just as well, who has just as many concerns. There was no reason to hold on to Tyreek Hill in Dynasty. Absolutely not. And especially not in redraft either. Like, I know, again, he's going to have these big weeks. Tyreek Hill, I get it. He's awesome. He's incredible. But his value was way overvalued, and you could have gotten Cooper Kupp plus for him. Now you probably still can, but not enough, right? Like the gap is closing. So that is all the takes from this weekend. Before I do a little bit of a 49ers Jets preview, which we're just going to be brief, just some things to look out for. I don't have any takes on it or anything. I got to plug the Buy Me a Coffee again. Lots of work went into this offseason. Lots of work goes into these episodes. And if I helped you, if I gave a good player take for you that you are just super over the moon about after week one, go to buymeacoffee.com/jfootballwine. Send me $1. Nothing crazy. Send something my way to show and let me know what take I gave you as well. Just show a little bit of appreciation. I feel like I threw my neck on the line for a lot of successful takes that a lot of people weren't really talking about this offseason. I don't know. I like a little bit of flowers. I don't really mean to do this, but I'm feeling pretty proud of myself from this offseason. I think we did a good job here on Wake and Take. So if you felt that you enjoyed the show, you got some good insight, you appreciate what I was able to bring for you this offseason, any support is appreciated. Or you could also just go subscribe to my own channel. Like, if you don't have money, I get it. Like, I myself don't have a lot of money. That's why I'm asking for some support. But if you can't support it, I get it. Anything counts. But also, if you just want to subscribe to me, at JFootballWine on any social media. And do me a favor today in particular, if you're listening to this episode right now, if you're live, I want you to tweet at me. I want you to tag at JFootballWine and tell me what player you got because of me. I'm curious. I just want to know who you got because of me on this show in particular. Tag me on Twitter. Let me know. I'll reply. I just want to see it. I'm curious. A lot of work went into this offseason. I want to know what it led to. I do. I really do. Now, good question here. I need to make mugs, Donald. I need to make Wake and Take mugs. I do. I wanted to get them green, and I couldn't find a supplier that makes green mugs. They're all just plain white, but I guess I'll just suck it up and make a white mug with the Wake and Take logo. But anyway, let me know how I supported you this offseason. Let me know what takes you really agreed with and ended up kind of leaning into. I'm very curious. And now, the final bit of today, we have Monday Night Football tonight, 49ers Jets. Not a lot to talk about here, but just make sure that you tune in. And there's a few things that you want to watch out for here. A, how healthy does Christian McCaffrey look? To me, I think he's going to be 100%. I think he's going to get all of the opportunity really for San Francisco. I think he's going to look fine. So that's what I'm looking out for. But also just how involved is Brandon Ayuk? How involved is Deebo Samuel? Like, really, what does this 49ers offense kind of look like? Because they haven't had much time this offseason to gel together with Brandon Ayuk holding out and Christian McCaffrey being injured. I'm just kind of curious how they look. But I think most of us is the Jets, right? Like, all of us are mostly watching this Jets team. We're curious to see what Aaron Rodgers looks like, at post-injury, but also we didn't get to see him throw the ball at all last year. So we're watching Garrett Wilson. We're watching Breece Hall in particular. My take, again, on Breece Hall is that he's going to lead all running backs in receptions this year. I think he's just going to get targeted a ton out of the backfield. I think he's going to be a huge safety net for Aaron Rodgers this season. So I will say use this opportunity maybe to try to buy into Breece Hall if you can. I know he's expensive, but I'm really feeling a great season from him. And all it takes is one big performance to remind people what Breece Hall is. So anyway, that's really what we're going to be watching out for in this game. I didn't have time to put together tape picks or anything like that, so I might share it on Twitter if I get to it, like a DFS lineup or something. But this is a weird game to me. I think that it's going to go one of two ways, which is stupid to say these takes. I get it. I'm envisioning a 49ers blowout. I really I really do kind of, when I view this game, think the 49ers are going to absolutely hammer the Jets. I think that the Jets offensive line is going to have a very tough time in this game. But, it's football. I learned a lot this weekend. I guess not learned. I was reminded a lot this weekend what NFL football means. And that's that everyone's just so good. You spend all this time in the offseason, studying the fantasy football things. And you just get the rose tinted goggles or whatever. And you're just like, oh, it's touchdowns every drive. It's shootouts in every game. And it just takes week one to kind of be reminded, like, that's not how this goes. It stays pretty close. Most teams only score about 20. And you're lucky to get 3 touchdowns in a game from someone. But anyway, sometimes you just got to be reminded of it. We get so excited, especially as fantasy football analysts and players, about the offenses. And then we're just reminded how good defenses are. And in this game in particular, the Jets and Niners have incredible defenses. So it could honestly be a snooze fest. But I'm feeling my Jason gut feel is a 49ers blowout. I think they're going to wreck this Jets offensive line. But I'm curious to watch a lot of people. Basically what I'll say, I know I didn't make a showdown lineup, but if I'm making a DFS lineup tonight, Breece Hall's my captain. Christian McCaffrey's my captain. I'm making sure Breece Hall is in the lineup, and probably Deebo Samuel. I think those 3, and then I'm going to kind of build around there. I might throw the 49ers defense in there, to be honest, and then kind of go from there. So anyway, that is everything I have for you guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We're finally here. The season is finally here. Takes are flying. Reactions are flying. Wake and Take, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you're here. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Follow the Wake and Take podcast via the link in the description. Hit the bell so you get notified when we go live. And make sure you clear your schedules to tune in tomorrow morning as we do the first waiver wire episode of the season. How fun is that? We're here. No more bullshit off-season hot take episodes. It's time for real advice. Hell yeah, brother. Football. Have a great day. Peace.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.